What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Power Gamers Tactics Room. I'm your host, Bilbrun Bafflestone. So today we are trying something different. I have been slogging my way through this 28-part fighter series, and it has been interesting because there are some really good fighter archetypes, but now I'm kind of running out. And some of these archetypes really aren't worth 3 videos each, let's face it. So I'm trying to truncate things a little bit, and I'm going to be doing just a review and rating series of the Arcane Archer and the Banneret, which I think are the 2 worst fighter archetypes, just to cover them and talk a little bit about why I think they're so bad. But I don't want to invest any time in creating builds or doing deep dives on these. And then the Champion. That's the one I'll be doing today. And I considered making this in a similar category as the Banneret and Arcane Archer, but the fact is that the Champion is a very popular archetype, and so I wanted to at least do a build for it. And so I am today combining my review and rating series and my deep dive series and just doing the Champion in one go, because it is a very simple class. All of its abilities are passive and you don't need to think about them. And so there's really not much strategizing going on. So I'm going to just, kind of cover the deep dive stuff that I normally do in the course of rating these. And we'll see how that works. And I wanted to apologize for it being a 2 whole days between this and my last video. I just had a tooth extracted, so I've been sedated, and my internet connection has been going out. So unfortunately, I have had to take a 2-day break between videos. But I did want to mention that I am going to be cutting back a little bit. I have been doing 5 videos a week. I'm going to cut that back to a video every other day. And that's going to give me a little bit of extra time that I can use for my other projects. One, I am working on Bilbrun's Book of Bad Guys, so going to be creating some additional content for my Patreon subscribers, and I don't know, maybe I'll Kickstarter it one day. And I'm also starting a competing channel, or another channel, about philosophy. I've actually created a philosophy that I call the Heroic Ethic, and believe it or not, I actually have some followers who have been begging me to talk about the philosophy because it's changed their lives, and yada, yada, yada. And yeah, I think I'm going to do that because while I'm not as passionate about it as I used to be, since once I figure something out and optimize it, then I move on to the next thing. But it is important enough to me. So anyway, I'm going to be doing the philosophy channel. Hopefully you guys check that out. Please like, subscribe, comment, and check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. Without further ado, let's dive into the Champion. So at 3rd level, the Champion gets its signature power, the improved critical. Instead of critically on a 20, they critical on a 19 or 20. And this is statistically unimpressive at a whopping plus 5% of the base damage, or plus 1 if you have a base damage of 20. But I will say that it's nice that it's always on and unlimited use, and it's not limited by, say, superiority dice. I do tend to favor those things that are always on, so good for the Champion in that respect. To maximize this ability, we are going to want to max out the number of attack dice rolled. So attacking at advantage as often as possible will be good. That will give us a 19% chance of a critical per attack. And if we attack at advantage plus Elven accuracy for 3 dice, that will give us a 27.1% chance of a critical. So if you are making 2, 3, 4 attacks per round, you can almost assure yourself of a critical every round. There is synergy with the Half-Orc Savage attack, which confers an extra damage die on a critical, but it is just 1 die per roll, so you're going to want a single die weapon for maximum extra critical damage, which means you're probably going to want to go with a Great Axe, which is a D12. There is synergy with magical weapons or spell effects, which add extra damage dice. For example, Flame Tongue, Elemental Weapon, or Holy Weapon. There is synergy with rerolls. For example, the Lucky Feat, the Bountiful Luck racial ability that halflings get, or Chronal Shift. There is synergy with having a bonus action attack to get an extra chance at a critical. For example, that conferred by Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master, Sharpshooter, or 2-weapon fighting. There is synergy with offensive reaction attacks, which again will give us an additional chance at a critical. For example, the riposte battle maneuver, Polearm Master, Sentinel, or Mage Slayer all get reaction attacks. You will want to max out the number of effects and or damage dice per critical, for example through Crusher, Slasher, Piercer, Sneak Attack, Smites, Hex, Hunter's Mark, or Spirit Shroud. And note that there is negative synergy with Hexblade's Curse. There is redundancy in regards to the expanded critical range, so the champion might be the only archetype in the game that doesn't really synergize well with the Hexblade. And we should point out that the need to supplement this base power to make it good does make this archetype very racial ability and feat dependent. I've been kind of thinking about builds, and I think a strong build is going to be hard pressed to fit in all of the abilities needed to optimize this and make it really good. But that said, like all champion powers, it is passive, it requires no decision making to play, so it can be a lot of fun at the table due to the excitement of critting more often and the lack of mental energy necessary to play the type, which means that you can spend more energy thinking about how to roleplay this particular character. Overall, I am not too impressed with improved critical, and I give it a rating of poor relative to all of the other archetypes' third level powers. I think only the Arcane Archer is similarly bad, I think only the Banneret is worse, and I think all of the others are better. At 7th level, the champion gets Remarkable Athlete. They can add half their proficiency bonus, rounded up, to any non-proficient strength, dex, or con check, plus add their strength modifier to their running long jump. So this bonus starts at +2 at 7th level when you get it, and it increases to +3 at 13th level, and that's as high as it gets. And honestly, the only thing you gain out of this is a bump to your initiative. There aren't really that many skills in the game, and the only strength skill is athletics, which you are going to take anyway because you want to be as good as possible at shoving and grappling. There are no constitution skills or checks, and the only dex skills or checks besides initiative are stealth, acrobatics, and sleight of hand. You're going to want to take stealth anyway. Acrobatics is basically useless if you have a good athletics roll, and sleight of hand can be okay, but if you want to do it, just take the skill. Getting a +2 or a +3 bump on it doesn't seem that amazing to me, although I'm sure in the course of a million games it comes into play every now and then. And of course the bonus to your running long jump is virtually no impact at all. Hardly anybody actually performs a running long jump, and you already need 10 feet of your movement to proc it, and then you can add your strength, so you're already going to have like a 16, 18, 20 strength. Anyway, I just don't really see that this gives much benefit. So overall, the 7th level power of the champion is rated poor. Only the Echo Knight has a similarly bad power at 7th level. Only the Banneret and the Battle Master get worse powers. All of the others are better. At 10th level, the champion gets an additional fighting style. And I think this is great. Fighting styles are fantastic, and an extra one is very powerful. Most of them are always on and unlimited use, which always gets my attention. And specifically post Tasha's, this means you can have blind fighting and archery or defense without a 2-level dip. Blind fighting is, in my opinion, by far the most powerful fighting style in a vacuum, especially for melee combatants, and having this in addition to another fighting style is really amazing. So I give the 10th level power for champion a rating of superior. I think only the Eldritch Knight's 10th level power is as good, and I think all of the others are worse. 10th level isn't really a great level for fighter powers. At 15th level, the champion gets superior critical. Now they critical on an 18, 19, or 20, which is a better version of the 3rd level power, but no additional tactics or analysis required. It was unimpressive then, it's unimpressive now. Again, I give the 15th level power a rating of poor. Only the Arcane Archer and Battle Master get similarly bad powers, only the Banneret is worse, and all of the others are better. At 18th level, the champion gets Survivor. Regenerate 5 plus your Constitution modifier in hit points every round if you are below half your hit points. This is pretty sweet. I mean, always on regeneration when I need it? Yes, please. 8 to 10 hit points per round is impressive, At 18th level, you're going to have close to 200 hit points, so getting into half your hit points is not too debilitating, and you just start regenerating every time you get hurt. That is pretty impressive. I give the champion's 18th level power a rating of good. I think only the Echo Knight is similarly good. I think only the Cavalier and the Psy Warrior get better 18th level powers, and I think all of the others are worse. So when I look at the champion power suite as a whole relative to all of the other powers, its powers come in at poor, poor, superior, poor, and good. And overall, I give them a rating of poor. The champion is not a particularly good fighter archetype. It is simple and fun to play and very popular thereby. But it was one of the original fighter archetypes. Power creep is a thing, and all of the archetypes introduced since are just way better. So that's it. That's my look at the champion, a pretty unimpressive archetype with really simple powers that are not going to be too difficult to optimize because there's really not that many ways to do it. And the ones that I listed, I think, are pretty obvious. So I will do my best to create an awesome champion for my character build series tomorrow. And in the meantime, please let me know in the comments if you have any nice things to say about the champion or really cool, weird ways of implementing their powers. I'd be very glad to hear it. Regardless, thanks so much for watching. This has been the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Power Gamers Tactics Room. I'm your host, Bill Bafflestone. See you next time.